Hi everybody, today we're going to do the the book style, and we are going to kind of do like a walkthrough for anybody who missed our demo day. When you do the book style, it ends up something kind of like this. This one's been like pressed on a little bit much, but you can see how there's the individual spacers in between each layer. So let's talk about how you can make that really good or how you can make that really bad. So it first starts off with the spacers that you actually cut. When you cut the spacers, they're made of foam core, which looks like this, foam core, which is thicker than paper. And as you cut it, it kind of gets all crunchy. Now, the other thing to keep in mind as you cut it is you don't want to cut it necessarily with an X-Acto knife because it's going to dull your X-Acto knife, but the scissors are a little bit tough. So just take your time and make sure you have enough of it. As you cut them, you want them to be even. So when you have an uneven amount of like blocks, when you have an uneven amount of like they're different sizes, then when you stack them up, they're all kind of like wonky and they don't necessarily flow together as well. So anything that's not the same size, we're going to want to put to make it be the same size. I'm going to go ahead and cut a strip from this one so you can see what that looks like. So they don't want to be any bigger than your borders, so just double check with your borders before you go to start cutting. Okay, and then once you start, scissors are backwards, you'll immediately see the crushing, and that's okay. Just remember that's a part of it. Okay, if it gets tough, go towards the other side. You'll cut one long strip, okay? Once you have your one long strip, again, we don't want them to be any bigger than the borders. So about that big is good. Use it maybe for reference for your next couple so you can get a feel for how far you need to cut. Okay, and just keep going from there around that same size. Okay. Now that I've gotten a couple, this will be good for us to go ahead and get started to explain how you do this. You're going to want to start from bottom and then work your way up to the top. So I'm going to remove all of the layers from the screen that are not the bottommost layer. Okay, so from this layer, I'm going to want to put spacers in every corner. And I'm also going to want to put spacers in all the spots in between. So in order to do that, first I have to check to make sure I have enough. Looks like I need one more actually. Cut some of these down. So there's one there, one here, and I'll cut one more. It'll be close enough in size. Okay. Perfect. This is how it should look before you start gluing. If you do not have it looking like this before you start gluing, or if you're starting on a different layer, be sure to restart. In each of your layers, sometimes it's helpful to write the layer number on it. So this one, for instance, is a 4. This is a thing you should have been doing while you were tracing. If you have not, take the time to do this before you start gluing so that nothing gets messed up. When you do start gluing, this Pro Bond is the best kind of glue we have, but it's also incredibly messy. So there is a correct way to use this. What you're going to want to do is you're going to take a scrap sheet of paper and be sure to just squeeze out a little bit. A little goes a long way. And from that scrap sheet of paper, we're going to use this kind of to dab our pieces in. So just make a small little dab, get any excess off. That's plenty. And then that'll just go in the corner. And do the same thing all the way around. Again, a little goes a long way. Another thing is we really don't want to get any of the dividers or spacers, as they're sometimes called, into like coming off the page. So just be aware of where you're putting them. Looks like we need just a little bit more glue to finish up this layer. Again, little goes a long way. You saw how much that tiny little squirt did. Okay. This Pro Bond stuff will literally glue concrete back together, so you can trust it to make sure you do the job. Then we'll probably take like a piece like this. That's we can't really use this for anything else. It's not a different size than the rest of the spacers, and we'll use this kind of like a paintbrush. And we're going to dab on glue onto the top of all of these. Now, as I said, this glues concrete together. So as you can imagine, it kind of likes to be used quickly so that it doesn't dry out. Okay. Now that I've gotten glue on all of those pieces, I'll go ahead and get my layer number 3. So I started off with layer number 4, and now I'm getting layer number 3. And I'm just going to make sure I have it pulled tight, covering up as evenly as possible. So, make your shifts before the glue dries. As soon as the glue dries, it's there. You can't undo it. Pull them tight, okay? Perfect. And then you'll repeat those steps for the rest of it, going all the way up to the top with dividers again in between each of the corners and also in the middle pieces. This will also start to create the shadow, so if you start seeing a shadow, then you're doing it right. All right, best of luck, y'all.